So, recently I made a video about how fighting games aren't hard to learn in comparison to other genres of competitive video games. Talked about how it's kind of a straight up myth that they're too hard to play because of the executional barriers, or that there's too much in game knowledge that you have to worry about, or that you even need 1,000 hours of training mode before you dare touch ranked matches. And this got some responses. So it seems to me that a lot of people think that fighting games are actually just too hard to learn, or they're too difficult to pick up. So, with that being said, I decided to put my money where my mouth is. With the release of Kenshiro in Fatal Fury City of the Wolves, I decided that what a great way to show just how approachable that these games really are by showing you the process of me learning this character. So, I decided I'm going to challenge myself. I'm going to try to get Kenshiro to gold rank. Nothing too crazy, not anything like Garu or Legendary Wolf or anything, but I am going to restrict myself a little bit. Rule number one, I'm not going to have any backseating. So this means I'm not going to be live streaming this and having chat feed me any tech or any advice mid-match that I should be trying out. Rule number two is that I'm not going to be using any outside resources that are not available in the game. This means no checking wikis, no checking social media, no resources that cannot be accessed in the game. That's going to be the challenge. Learning Kenshiro on my own, using only the resources that are provided in the game. Because if I'm going to talk a bunch about how easy it is to learn these games, at least I should be able to back it up and prove it to you. Before we begin, if you like the content, drop a like on the video and sub to the channel if you want to see more. And consider becoming a channel member or joining the Patreon to help keep the channel alive. More on how you can support at the end of the video. Now with that out of the way, let's begin. So first things first, we're going to need some sort of starting point if we want to learn Kenshiro. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to hop over to the combo trials and see what he's all about. Now I know what you're thinking. Swanky, combo trials are the worst way for somebody to learn a character. And to you, dear viewer, I would wholeheartedly agree. Combo trials are an incredibly big noob trap in fighting games because they don't actually teach you anything about the character other than some unoptimized combo off of a button. But I am going to argue this point. The most important thing about combo trials is that it shows you how cool your character is. If you do not find your character visually interesting, you are going to have zero motivation to get any better with them because the only thing you're going to think is how boring they are. The other thing that is really nice about combo trials is while the combos are unoptimal, it does give you a pretty good idea about what you should be confirming off of your buttons. Take for example this combo here. Since it's done off of a quick jab, this probably means that it's used in a mashing scenario or if I need a really quick punish. This combo is done off of a heavy kick, which would imply that this is really good if your opponent does something super risky and you can punish them for it. I wouldn't spend too much time here. Again, remember, combo trials are just really there for you to test out the character and see if they look cool. You're not really going to learn a whole lot by doing this. Of course, there's some ideas that you can take, but it is not there to teach you a whole lot. But now that we finished this, we can actually get to the important part, which is taking the character into training mode and testing out their buttons. Alright, so now that we've finished the combo trials, we're actually ready for the training mode portion of this. Now, this is another one of those things that I think is kind of a really big noob trap for people. And the reason why I say this is because you always hear about how in fighting games, you need to spend 100+ hours in training mode before you're even allowed to touch ranked matches. Personally, I don't find that to be true. The reason why is because training mode is a tool, and it is a tool that you use to be able to find answers for problems that you come across during ranked matches. If you have not played against another person, how do you know what that problem is? When you're just starting out, the only thing that you're really going to be needing training mode for is just figuring out how to control space and moving your character around the screen comfortably. When it comes to controlling space though, we really only need a handful of buttons. One of Kenshiro's best buttons for space control is going to be his far D. This is by far his furthest hitting poke, and it comes out in about 11 frames of startup. It is kind of slow, I'm not going to lie, and you don't really get any sort of reward on normal hit. However, on a wild punish, we actually get a full combo with this button. Another button that we can use to control space is Kenshiro's far standing C. This move is a little bit faster than his far standing D at 8 frames as opposed to 11, and it does advance him forward. But what's nice about this move is that it is special cancelable. Because of the forward advancing property on this and its quick startup, you actually can use this move as a whiff punish. Another move that we can use to control space is Kenshiro's 2C. This has slightly less range than his far D, and it comes out in 9 frames as opposed to 11, so making it a little bit faster, but it is special cancelable, unlike far standing D. So by using far D, 2C, and his far C, we can actually control space in front of Kenshiro pretty effectively. Now that we figured out some tools for neutral, we kind of also want to look for stuff that we can mash on. So Kenshiro's fastest button is actually going to be his 2A. This comes out in 5 frames, and as the combo trial suggested, you can get a mini combo off of it. The reward off of 2A is going to be pretty small because you can't combo it into any of his Rev special moves. But that's okay because this is really going to be used as sort of a mash move. Another fast and close range move that Ken does have is his close B. Now on hit, this move is +7, which means that we're able to combo this into his close C, which means that off of close B, we're actually able to do a full combo. And as far as grounded neutral goes, that's really all we need. We have a simple game plan. Control space with his far D, his 2C, and his far C. And when our opponent gets too close, we have quick buttons like his 2A and his close B. The last thing that we really need to worry about is anti-airing. If we do find an opponent that is going to be jumping in on us, and in this game, people jump quite a bit, we need to figure out buttons to be able to stop this. Now, every person in this game has a universal anti-air by performing their high dodge, which is down, heavy punch, and the rev button. What this does is it gives Kenshiro upper body invulnerability, so if our opponent jumps in at us, we're able to punish it. What's also nice is his high dodge is special cancelable. So as you can see, by using high dodge, we can actually get pretty decent reward for punishing our opponent jumping in at us. The other move that he can use for an anti-air is his light DP. This is invincible on startup, but its range is kind of lacking compared to his high dodge. And the other thing that's nice is because this is invincible on startup, this is also our reversal move if our opponent knocks us down and we need a quick get off me move. So now we have buttons for neutral, we have buttons for anti-airing, and we also have a reversal option. For the most part, that is everything that you're going to need in training mode. We don't need to worry about what to do off of a counter hit. We don't need to worry about anything to do on a knockdown scenario. All of that is stuff that we can worry about later down the road as we get more comfortable with the character. All we need is a very simple game plan, something that we can build off of as we play ranked matches and realize what works and what doesn't. All in all, between the combo trials and the training mode, this probably took me about 20 minutes to get through. And now I'm pretty much ready for my first ranked match. Alright, so now that I've had some time to play Kenshiro and mess around with him, here's kind of my thoughts so far. As you'll see in this clip here, I was actually able to use far D as a poking tool pretty effectively. Far D is actually really good. The only downside is to get the biggest reward, it does have to be a wild punish. Off a normal counter hit, you don't really get a whole lot, and on hit, it's only +4, so it's not really that great. On counter hit, far D is actually +9, which theoretically does mean you can combo from it. However, the downside is you do have to have the correct spacing in order to be able to do this. At tip range, +9 is great, but you don't get anything off of it. If you do space it right, you can actually combo either into 2C or far C. Compare that to when you get a wild punish. You're left at +24 and you can actually just run up and do far C. Despite having really solid neutral game, Kenshiro also has a ridiculous amount of damage. What you'll see in this clip is that even off of just a stray hit, one combo can do easily close to 80% of your opponent's health if they aren't careful.
Kenshiro, wait!
Now, speaking of combos with Kenshiro, there was something in the combo trials off of doing close D and fainting. What I found is that if you do close D and feint, it actually makes an incredibly good combo starter. This is because it leaves you +9, which means that you have the option of going into either his Farsi or his 2C. Now, if I'm going to be entirely honest, there's almost no reason to go into 2C because Farsi is actually the optimal route as I've found. I mean, just from that combo alone, you're looking at either 413 damage with Farsi or 398 damage with 2C. So there's almost no reason to use 2C. However, when it comes to Kenshiro's combos, he does chew through a ton of rev in order to get his max damage combos. That right there was an 80% rev combo. Now granted, that's more of a damage cash out, but still, the point is, he chews through a lot of rev to get a lot of damage. Now, the downside that I've found about Kenshiro is because he chews through a lot of meter to get his max damage, when he's in overheat, his damage output's kind of terrible. Now granted, 290 damage for a meterless combo isn't awful, but comparing that to his combos with meter kind of feels really bad. So what you'll find a lot with Kenshiro is that you're going to be spending a lot of meter when you're on offense, and then when you're on defense, you're going to have to play a lot more careful because of that. Balancing his meter usage, especially when it comes to his defensive options, means that you're going to probably have to cut combos shorter just because you want to be careful about entering overheat. On the flip side though, when your opponent's in overheat, Kenshiro is an absolute monster. Because of 100 kick rush, you actually do a ton of damage to your opponent's guard meter. And now, just to be a little fancy, I'll show you a max damage combo I found with Kenshiro.
Done yet.
So yeah, dude's gonna hit like a truck. You just gotta mind your resource management with him. Now, another weakness that I did find with Kenshiro is that he does struggle to secure hard knockdowns. The only way that I've been able to find guaranteed hard knockdowns is off of stuff like his forward throw and his supers. Now, if you're new to fighting games, this really isn't going to be too big of a deal. However, as you get better, you're going to be wanting to continue your pressure on your opponent's wake up, and not being able to secure a hard knockdown means that your opponent's wake up is going to be incredibly unpredictable. Now granted, in lower levels, most people don't tech knockdowns anyways, but compare that to somebody like Tizok. With somebody like Tizok, my knockdowns are always predictable. I know that when I land certain moves, I will have enough time to run some sort of a setup on my opponent's wake up. For instance, off of Hercules' throw, I have a guaranteed Light Poseidon wave.
Hercules throw! Yeah! Wait!
Unless my opponent decides to do something that's invincible on wake up, that is a guaranteed counter hit. And on top of that with Tizok, I have guaranteed combo routes that will result in a hard knockdown.
Not done yet.
Which means I can do something like a guaranteed safe jump setup here.
Close one. Beat up.
Unfortunately with Kenshiro, you trade guaranteed knockdown setups for just raw damage. Now I understand that this is kind of a steak too juicy, lobster too buttery kind of complaint to have about Kenshiro, but there are weaknesses that I found while playing this character. I've had about a week with him so far, and I've been able to get him all the way up to bronze 3, climbing out of the less than 1,000 RP elo bracket. And it's honestly been really fun. I am borderline considering dropping Tizok so that way I can play more Kenshiro. But with that being said, I think this is going to be where I'm going to call it. So far, we've been able to develop a really solid baseline for our gameplay, and we did notice some weaknesses with Kenshiro that we'll definitely be able to patch. In the next video, what I plan on doing is reviewing some of the higher level match footage. That way I can see the difference between the way I'm playing Ken versus someone who's a lot better at the game than me, and we'll be able to find things that we can steal and implement into our own gameplay. But like I said, this is going to be it for me. I just want to say thank you for checking out the video, and I appreciate you coming along with my journey with the road to gold with Kenshiro. And also a special thank you to all of our channel members and Patreon supporters. You can help support the channel for just $1 a month on either platform, and with that you're going to get access to special Discord roles, as well as a shout out on the just starting screen on all of our live streams, as well as being able to bribe Streamlabs bot and being able to cuss in chat. Thank you again for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video with the road to gold with Kenshiro.